Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is the 24th video of a playlist for cloning a Disney Plus website using MERN. In this video, we are going to make the list page or the page to show all of the lists that we have to the admin page in here. So first, let's open up our list inside of the admin and then source here. I'm going to change this div to a React fragment. Let's save it. After we make this, inside of this React fragment, I will have a div with a class name equal to margin is 2. If the device width is MD, so it will have margin is 10. For the margin top is going to be 24. Padding is 2. For if the MD, for if the device is MD, it will have P equal to 10. And then background is white. After that, we will have a rounded is equal to 3XL. Let's save it. Inside of here, I'm going to put a header tag. Header is equal to category. For the category, is going to be page. And for the title is equal to list. But let's see inside of the movies that we already created before. Whoops. Movies.tsx. Let's see in here. So for the category, it's going to be movie. Whoops, it's supposed to be a list. First, I'm going to, and before I continue, I will import this header component from the component. I will just going to copy it from the movie here. Copy the header and then paste it here. Let's save it. Alt Shift F to verify the codes. Below of this header, we will have a grid component. Import it from the Syncfusion. It will be not a self-closing tag, so I'm not supposed to delete the closing tag. Inside of this grid component, we will have at first I'm going to give it some attributes. The first attribute is going to be id is equal to grid.com, and then for the data source is equal to list. For the here we are going to make the use state first. Here I'm going to make a new first I'm going to import the use state, and then I'm going to use the snippet. Here is going to be list. For the default value is going to be let me see here, it's going to be null, or maybe just going to make it as an empty object. After we have the data source, let me see in the movies here, we will add allow paging, and then allow sorting. Let's save it. After that, we will have a context menu item. Context menu items is equal to context menu items that I'm going to copy the imports. Let me see here. Where's the context menu items? I will copy it and then paste it in here. Let's save it. Inside of this grid component, we are going to have a columns directive. It's supposed to be the closing tag. Column directive. Inside of this column directive, we'll have a list, grids.map, and then we'll have the item, and then comma the index. I'm going to close it, and it will be as a row function that will show the column directive. Remember, column directive, not columns directive. And I'm going to pass the first one is going to be the key, and then the rest of the items. Whoops, it's supposed to be a closing curly brace in here. And also I'm going to close the the dynamic block or the mapping function. Alt Shift F to verify it. This key is supposed to be index, not key. Let's save it. And also, we didn't have the list grid yet. So make the one. So let's make one of it. I'm just going to copy from the movie grid here and then paste it below of this context menu. For the list grid, wait a second, for the list grid is going to have title. Same, it will have a title, but it will not have some image because this was just some list. Let's change the variable first. It's going to be list grid. Let's save it. After we have the title, we will have the category, and then for each series, I think just 3 of them, and then we still need the action button for this grid. I also going to copy the action button here, copy, and then paste it above of this list grid. Alt Shift F. Let's see in here. We get our title, category, a series, and the action button. For the action button, I will change all of this movie to list, and then make the function for it. The first one or the function is going to be handle delete. It will be some function, and then it will be just empty for now. Let's save and see how it looks. I already run my admin or my local host. Let's see inside of this list. We got our empty data here. So that means our style or our front end is working. Now for getting the data, let's make a new context for it. Instead of this context, I will make a new folder called list context. And same like in the movie context here, we are going to have movie actions.js, and then we'll have movie reducer.js, and then we'll have movie context.js, and the last one is going to be API calls.js. Let's save it and see. The first thing or the first item that will be delayed, or I mean, wait, it's supposed to be list. I'm sorry. It's supposed to be list action. Whoops. And then list contacts, and also and the register is going to be list reducer. Let's save it. I mean, after we change the title, I mean for the file name, I will make a new export here. Export cons is equal to get list start, or maybe I will just wait. I will just finish this first one and then copy for the next one. After we make this get list start, it will be some function, and here we are going to have type is equal to get list and then start. Let's save it and give it some semicolon, so then when we beautify it, it will be formatted to the right format. The next one is going to be get list. It will be get list success, and then for the type is also going to be success here. Success. And then for the starts, for the last one is going to be failure, and then for the type is also going to be failure. Let's save it, go to the list action, and then for the list reducer, then here we are going to have the reducer for the get list. First I'm going to make the list reducer here. List reducer is equal to the state and then action, and it's going to be some arrow function. We'll have the switch and case, same like in the movie. And here switch dot action type. Whoops, it's supposed to be switch action type, and then for the first case it's going to be get list start. It's supposed to be case get list start, and then for the return is going to be, for the list is just going to be empty. For is fetching is going to be true because it is still loading or getting the data from the database. And then for the error is going to be false because this is just the start. When we start, it will be no error and will be no success. So after we make the start, we will have the success and the failure. I will just going to give it semicolon to each of this, so the beautify will format it to the right format. What if we alt shift F? Okay, right. What if ensure I add comma? Okay, it don't affect anything. For the next one is going to be get list success. For the list or for the list, yep, for the returning list, it will be action dot payload. So it will return the list or the data that this get from the database. After that, we'll have the failure. Let's save it. Save, and then for the error is going to be true, and also for its fetching is going to be false because the loading or the process is done. For the fetching inside of the success, it also going to be false. Let's save it and go to the list context to make the context for it. List context. In here, we are going to import the list reducer. List reducer. Wait a second. It's supposed to be list reducer here. Oh yeah, we didn't already export it, so we have to export the website here. Export the reducer. Export default list reducer. Let's save it and go back to list context. Now we should get the suggestion for import the list reducer. After we import the reducer, we will import the create context, comma, use reducer. So we are going to use this from the React here. Let's save it. After we import these two, we are going to have cons equal to initial state. It will be same like in the movie context. It will be list is equal to some empty array. For is fetching is going to be false, and for the error is going to be false. All of this is just a default value that's going to be changed whenever the reducer or the function inside of the list context is running. We are going to have export cons equal to here. We are going to make the context for it. List context is equal to create context and then initial state here. After we make it, let's make the list. Oops, it's supposed to be export cons and then list context provider is equal to children. Remember, this children is going to be the app tag inside of the index because we are putting this list context, or we are going to wrap the app tag inside of the index with a list context provider or with all of the context provider. So after we have the children here, we are going to have a state. The register. Here we are going to have counts. This will be state, comma, dispatch, and then wait a second. Oh yeah, we forgot our arrow in here. Arrow function and then state, comma, dispatch is equal to use reducer and then list reducer. It's supposed to be list reducer, comma, and then initial state. Let's save it And then for the return, we are going to returning the list context provider here. It's supposed to be a list context dot provider, not list context provider. List context dot provider. Instead of this, we'll have the children. We are going to put the children instead of here. And for the attribute, it's going to be value equal to a double or maybe the object, and then we'll have list equals to state dot list comma is fetching. It's going to be state comma is fetching. For the error, it's going to be state dot error. And also for the last one, we're going to pass the dispatch. After we create the list context, let's go to the index API inside of the admin here, and I'm going to wrap this app with a list context provider here. I'm going to enter and then put this instead of this list context provider. Let's save it and see that we got some error after we wrap the whole website inside of the list context provider. If we didn't get some error, oops, we got a blank page in here. Let's see where's the mistake here. We got list context provider. So in here we got is fetching is equal to state comma oops. In here inside of the list context, it's supposed to be state dot is fetching, not comma. Let's save and then refresh the website here. Now we got the same page, but we didn't get some error. That means we are good to go. And the last thing for the get is going to be creating the API calls for it. So inside of this API calls and then list context here, I'm going to make a new. First, I'm going to import the Axios. Import Axios because of course we are going to using Axios for interacting with our API. For the first one is going to be the get, and export cons is going to be get list is equal to async, and then dispatch. Oops, it's supposed to be dispatch, and then here is going to be dispatch get list start. I supposed to import it when there's so the suggestion, and I miss it now. Let's just get list start here. I'm going to import it, and then after that we will have a try and catch block. I'm going to give it some space here, try and then catch. For the try is going to be cons res equal to await axios.get, and here I'm going to get from the list comma and then the headers. For the token, I will just going to copy it from the API calls inside of the movie. I'm going to copy the token and paste it here. Alt Z to wrap the code. I will just close the API calls. After we have the headers and we have the result of the fetching process, we are going to put it inside of the dispatch and then get list success, and I'm going to pass the rest of data here. After the catch, we will have a dispatch, and then for the error, we will pass the get list failure here, and we are not going to pass anything to it. Let's save it and go back to the list.tsx in here. I'm going to replace this list. Oops. I'm going to replace this list with the cons and then list comma dispatch is equal to use context, and then we will have we will use the context from a list context. Let's save it, and below that we'll have a use effect in here. Import it first. For the use effect is going to be get list from the API calls, of course, and I'm going to pass the dispatch in here. Dispatch, and also for the parameters here is going to be dispatch. Let's save it and see what we get now. Do we get all of our lists, or we are getting some error? Let's refresh it to get the full update of the website. We are not getting anything, but what if we see instead of the inspect, list is equal to 1? So I think we just need to wait it, maybe. No record to display, but if we look inside of the network, we get the data of all lists that we have. Did we forgot something? For the list is equal to lists in here. So there was inside of the list reducer here. Let's see. For the list action here, we're supposed to return the list after the get list is success. For the payload, is going to be list. Let's save it, and let's see how it looks if I refresh the website. Did we finally get the data, or are we still not getting it? Now we got some error here. Let me see in the console. Link is not defined. Oh yeah, we also have to import this link. And also, if we get that link error, that means our list is already loaded. And finally, we have our list page in here. And I think that's it for this video. I hope you will enjoy it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the bell notification so then you know when I update this series again. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.